Yeah, did you guys get the trampoline going?
We got most of it up. I'm telling you, we were going around putting the springs, connecting the springs to the mat. And I was like, okay, we can get this done.
Yeah.
I was hoping. But we got most of
Oh,
it together. I think we
okay.
got a good start to where Lawrence can probably finish it within the next hour.
Okay. I'm finna share this and then we will go ahead and get started. I don't really care to wait for people to tune in. It's me and you. We can have the conversation until they butts tune in. So after I
Pretty
share
much.
this, we're gonna get started. Okay. All right, so we'll go ahead and get started. I'm not sure who is watching. Hello, hello. We have not been live in a long time with the guest. For those who are watching, you already know how I do. Ask your questions for our guest, pick her brain. The title is talking about conquering fear in relationships. Share the live, tag some people in. For those who watch, you already kind of know how I do. So we're going to go ahead and get started. And first things first, I'm gonna put this on the screen. If you can see it, cool. If not, it's okay because I'll go ahead and read it off. Um, but did you just see what I put on the screen?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So let's get started. Go ahead and give us an introduction.
So my name is Milan. I am in my mid 30s. I have two boys that are both under 5. And I have been working on a marriage that is now 16 years long.
Ooh.
Um, we've been married since we were teens. I think I was 17, he was 19, or he had turned 20 that year. So we've gone through a lot. We've gone through a lot of struggles, a lot of life happenings, and just we've done our best to work through every struggle together and to get to the end of that struggle together.
Yeah. Yeah. 16 years. I'm already knowing. I look at people look at the years and they're like, oh, that's tight, or oh, I want that, but you don't realize like, yeah, that's tight, and yeah, we want that, but we've been through some stuff.
Yeah,
So, even I know people like to do the comparison with marriage and a regular relationship, but even if you ain't married and you've been together with somebody, 10, 12, 15, 16, 20 years, you still have the experience to say, hey, we've been through some stuff. This it
exactly.
ain't just walking the park and we wake up with strawberries in our mouth every day and hopscotch
Right.
around the house. It ain't. That's not what relationships and long term relationships and marriages entail. So salute to you. I think I said on the last live we was on, I am divorced, so I didn't make it to 16 years like you did, but I have some experience to speak on as it relates to a committed
Yes.
relationship and marriage. So shout out to you for being married for 16 years.
Thank
So
you.
I'm already knowing you finna hit us with some good stuff the same way you did on the last live. So
We're going to see.
so before I go to the next one, those that are watching, I did change a new internet provider. So I have not been live since I've changed that internet provider. Please let me know if we're buffering. Please let me know if you can't hear us. Just let me know the quality of the live video if something goes wrong. But Milan, so
Yes.
next one, what made you choose the topic of conquering fear in relationships?
Because I feel like that there is still, even when you marry someone, there's still fears of like fears of inadequacy, fears of judgment, there's so many fears that we think that we only face towards the world. But these fears are internally exchanged, especially when it comes to your spouse, because now the fear is in your home. It's
Yeah.
not just I have to, like a lot of people wear masks outside of the home where you put up your makeup and it's the persona that you put on, whatever the case may be. But when you get in your house, you have to kind of either a face that fear or you have to still hold on to it. And when you start holding on to it, you start feeling a lot of anxiety and stress, and it's in your home,
Mhm.
and that's where that's the last place you want it to be.
Yeah, what I like to say is then you start to create problems that was not there, and but now it's there because it's that fear you're holding on to with it. Okay, well, I ain't gonna try to answer your stuff before I ask it, so I'm gonna talk as minimal as I can. Let me go ahead to the next one. So go ahead and describe what fear is.
So for me, fear is something that you, well, one is something that you dread, but the fear, I don't know. Can you break that question down just a little bit more?
Just so we're talking about relationships, but in general, what like the word fear in itself? Like what is that?
The fear is
What is
something that you don't want to do because you are afraid of what the consequence is going to be. You're afraid of what's going to happen after it. And you can try to imagine what like what that line is going to be, what that
Mhm.
consequence may be, but you still don't know until you actually do it, which is why fear itself is just, it's so pointless sometimes.
Yeah. Oh, I like how you said that. So this was not a question on my list, but just because you said that, it brought something to mind. So when you talk about fear and how pointless it is when it comes to relationships, do you feel like because of that fear of relationships, you know how people, we on this healing journey, we on this self-care journey, we on this, we just get us together, right? So we can quote unquote attract the right man or the right woman.
Yeah,
So do you feel like though, because of that fear, that no matter how good you are, how healed, healed you are beforehand, do you feel like you're never going to understand the real fear or how to conquer it until you're actually in a relationship?
that's exactly how I feel. When it comes to relationships, you will never know how you're going to respond to it and how your metaphysicality is going to come across until you're actually in the trenches, in there, doing the thing.
Mhm.
And now you just got to you got to figure it out.
Yeah, yeah, and I love that because I try to speak from both points of view. So men view and women view, because exactly what you said. It's a lot of things, and I don't know. I said I wasn't gonna even bring their name up no more, but it's a recent incident with Kiki Palmer and her boyfriend, and I see a lot of. I like to flip the scenarios, no matter who's
Yeah,
in the ring. I like to say, oh, okay, well, if it's cool for him to do it, then how would you feel if she did it? Or if it's cool for her to do it, how would you feel if he did it? So, in that scenario in itself, when we talk about, you're not going to even understand for real, how to fight the fight or what battle you will be able to conquer until you're actually in the boxing ring of the relationship.
yeah,
So, I really despise when people say, they say something that their partner did, and that bothered me. I don't like the way X, Y, and Z happened. Now, disclaimer for those who watch it. I'm never saying blast your partner on social media. Y'all know I'm totally against that. I don't even respect people who do that. So I'm not saying that. But however, what I am saying is, because of the fear of the relationship, and you're not really understanding how you're gonna respond until you're in it, I do not respect when people say, "Oh, you can't say that. It wasn't that bad. It wasn't that. Why you acting like that? That didn't hurt that bad." It's like
you
you
can't
can't
do that because
yeah,
you don't
you
know
can't
how the other
tell
person
somebody
feels. You can't tell them
exactly.
how they should feel. You can't tell them that.
Yeah, it's the disrespect. So my whole thing with it entirely, whether it's a woman or a man, I do not respect anybody publicly blasting their boyfriend, girlfriend, or spouse. Like on no level, I'm never respecting any of it.
Yeah,
But in the same breath that it is exposed, it's like until you're actually in the boxing ring of that relationship, until you're actually in that moment of embarrassment or that feeling, that fear of, I hope it didn't never happen, but here it is, it happened. Until you're in that, you can't tell people, oh, it wasn't that bad. Oh, it didn't hurt that bad. That little thing, you mad at that? Like, you can't do that.
right.
Because then when you do that, you are putting a seed into people's relationships and people's marriages. And now what you're doing is you're causing war between them.
Yeah.
Because the person who committed the offense, now they're like, See, they said it wasn't that bad, so why you tripping?
So when on that topic, it's more so of, and I do the same thing as you, where I'm trying to look at the POV from both sides, and it's like when you say, for instance, infidelity is the topic, right? You can't tell the other person, well, it wasn't that bad. You should be able to get over it. You can't tell the person that was cheated on, it wasn't that bad. You need to get over it.
Mm-hmm.
You have to look at it from both sides of view, whereas the other person who it happened to is like, this was trust, this
Mm-hmm.
was my validation, this was, you know, these things that we may not hold as highly as others. For instance, sex is something that's on a lower level for some people, and some
Mm-hmm.
people hold it on a pedestal, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I only bring up infidelity because that's one of the major things, right,
Yeah.
in a
Yep.
relationship.
Yep.
And so it's like infidelity for somebody is just like, I was just sex. I was bored. I was whatever. I was
Mm-hmm.
whatever. You know, whatever they justified it is. But for the other person, it's like, I trusted you. I trusted you with my heart, my soul, my spirit. Like,
Mm-hmm.
I trusted you on so many levels not to hurt me. And you've harmed me.
Yeah.
And now I
I'm
have to heal through that.
and I'm glad you said that because I purposely don't touch infidelity and cheating. I purposely don't touch it because that's like the one for all, right? We all know that's wrong. But it's like people they forget about the other parts that matter the most. They forget about the other parts that makes the relationship go down before cheating even ever exists. One of
Right.
those things you mentioned, respect. And
Right.
so that's why I'm like, you can't go in, you can't tell somebody they're acting weird or crazy or insecure about something that their partner did to them. You're
Right.
not in a relationship. And again, it's going back to this conquering this fear in relationships. I can't conquer a fear of you breaking my trust, of you exposing me on the internet, of you crossing boundaries of what's supposed to be sacred between me and you. I can't conquer that fear if you're steadily doing it, and not only steadily doing it, but you're allowing other people in your ear to say, "Oh, it wasn't that bad.
Right.
Don't be insecure." Like
Right.
like just kind of like brushing the feelings off, to the side.
Right.
Respect is a big one, and we
It
ain't talking
is.
about cheating. We ain't talking about cheating because cheating is the major thing. Respect
Yeah.
is a big fear because it's like you don't respect me enough to not put me on the internet. You don't respect me enough to not put your hands on me.
Right.
You don't respect me enough to not go in, even if you didn't cheat by sex. You don't respect me enough to not be smiling in somebody else's face, showing them that they may have a chance.
Right. That you're
You-
interested.
yeah, yeah. It's the respect. It's respect. So the cheating, we like, oh, they cheated. But what about the respect? Respect
Right.
is big of a thing, just as if cheating was. In
Yeah.
my opinion. But
It is.
yeah. So guys, again, I don't know who was on in the beginning. I do have a different internet service. Hopefully I'm not buffering. I don't see it on my end. But if I am, please let me know. Get your questions in. Please get your comments in. Definitely if you got some questions, because I want our guests to be able to answer any questions that you have as it relates to the topic, which is conquering fear in relationships. And I thank you for that, the fear, because once I said fear, oh, you went in like, so you knew it. I think you just kind of overthinking it, but you got it, because you went right into what was finna be the next question, which is, why do you think there is so much fear as it relates to relationships? And one of them you said respect, in which I absolutely agree. So would you be able to add a little bit more into this question? Why do you think there is so much fear as it relates to relationships?
Well, there are a few things. There's a fear of inadequacy, whether I'm going to be enough, whether the person is going to be enough for me. There's the fear of failure. Am I going to be in another doomed relationship like the last one?
Mm-hmm.
A fear of rejection. If I show myself fully and wholeheartedly 100% to this person, are they going to accept me as I am? Um, there's so many fears of being judged, fear of uncertainty, just something being bad happening and something like getting hurt again. If you've already been in a relationship and you're entering into a new one and you
Mm-hmm.
got your high hopes and your heart set into it, and then all of a sudden it's like, but what if they hurt me again? What if
Mm-hmm.
it happens again? I don't
Mm-hmm.
want to be hurt again.
Yep.
Those fears all play into that major role. And while I can't now sit myself into that fear
Mm-hmm.
of all of those things because I've been married, honestly, as a married woman, I still have those fears. Fear of being hurt, fear of being rejected, fear of inadequacy. As a married woman, I still have those fears
Mhm.
because I love my husband wholeheartedly. But every day there's a new part of me that's coming out. You know, whether I get angry or whether I get frustrated. Oh my God, Sammy, my oldest son, is doing something that.
Yeah. 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 I'm glad that you said that because I do feel like and this is exactly why I don't respect exposing your partner on social media, or even if it's not on social media, you going and telling your friends and family literally everything about your relationship when your partner does something. This is why I don't agree with that. It's because you guys will never be perfect in itself once you come into the relationship or come into the marriage. You guys both will always be growing. Like
Yeah,
life will always be happening with you guys individually and you guys together. And if you decide to be with this person, this is the person you say you're with, that is
mhm.
your job as a woman and his job as a man to protect each other in
Yes.
the relationship. No, in spite of whatever issues y'all have with each other, it's y'all against the world. It's your family against the world. And that's how you should look at it. Protect
Yeah.
each other by all means and at any cost. There is a good question in the comment section, but I want to add on to the fears that you mentioned. I had researched some stuff and I had wrote down 5 fears. Before I ask this question, you can expound on them if you want to. If not, it's okay. I just wanted to bring up some other fears outside of cheating because again, we're so stuck in this box where we just feel like relationships only fail due to cheating, and
Mhm.
that's not the case. So I'm gonna list these 5 that I wrote down. So when I was researching the fears in relationships, 5 of them were abandonment.
Yes.
And before I keep going, a lot of this said a lot of the fears that we have come from childhood trauma.
Yeah.
And whether you want to call it, oh, it's from my childhood, or because we don't like to, we always like to seem more healed than we are. So a lot of this said a lot of these things from childhood, things that we never got in our childhood, our teenagehood, even our young adulthood. Like
Yeah.
these abandonment, these fears is things from all of that.
Real.
So it makes up our DNA. But it said abandonment. It said fear of commitment. So like
Hmm.
if you never had even a mama, a sister, a brother, a dad, anybody who had a title but never really committed to that title to you, it's a fear of commitment, fear of abandonment, fear of intimacy. Because we all know there's a difference with intimacy and sex, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Fear of intimacy, there's doubt, the fear of doubt, of having doubt, and then the fear of experiencing pain again. So
Yeah.
in that, cheating could be put in there, but if you notice what I listed, none of that said fear of being cheated on.
Right.
But we know cheating can be
What
up
it
under
lines up
the
to.
umbrella. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So
And
I'm the type
so,
of person.
go
Go
ahead.
ahead.
No, you go.
I'm the type of person where I like to get to the root of it. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
So cheating is the result. What's the root of it? And the 5 things that I named, that those are, I'm sure it's more, it's just 5 that I listed. But those are like the roots of issues, the roots of why we have fear in our relationships, the roots of why there's even insecurities to where we trying to control our partner because we don't want to go through none of them fears that I just listed.
Right.
We don't want to go through the fear you listed of you, now you disrespected me. I thought, where's the respect?
Right.
So
So definitely, I feel like all 5 of those are very. I mean, those are the core roots. And to be honest, you do, like you said, I agree. You have to address the things that happened before the relationship even took place. Like for instance, I've come to terms with my fear of abandonment because I lost my mom at a young age. But my grandmother
mhm,
stepped in, and she's been a great mom. I've conquered that fear of commitment because it's more so of you're telling this person no matter what happens, regardless if I have a piece of paper or not, I'm going to go through these struggles with you in life and I'm going to do my best to get through to the end of that struggle and
mhm,
still be in love with you and be happy with you and be in terms with who we are now that we've grown together
mhm, mhm.
through that.
I absolutely, this is right on point. I absolutely love that you said that, especially they might have missed it, but I'm going to say it again. When you said, regardless if you got that piece of paper. So regardless if you signed that dotted line and got that married title, because I've been seeing people say, oh, well, If you're a boyfriend, you don't get to say X, Y, and Z, or you don't get to feel a certain way. If you're a girlfriend, you don't get to feel or do a certain thing. Here's the thing. And regardless of if you have that title or not, what is your personality? What is your character? What is your integrity?
Yeah.
Because you can't think that, well, the type of woman I am. I know some women so thirsty to be married, they just gonna go with whatever, as long as they got the ring. But the type of woman I am, you couldn't dare think that I'm going to take your hand in marriage, that I'm going to accept you asking for my hand in marriage. You can't dare think that I'm going to do that and you was a horrible boyfriend. Like you cheated the whole time. You never respected my boundaries. You never respected me. You blasted me the whole time. When my tire was out, you told me, oh, go find somebody else to do it. Like, what makes y'all think that as a boyfriend or a girlfriend, you're not supposed to show a level of respect, a level of commitment, a level of love, a level of care to show me, hey, you will be a wonderful wife. You will be a wonderful husband.
Yeah.
So I love how you said that we, regardless of the title, if this is the person you say you love, this is the person you want to build with, what are you doing to help them with their fears? What are
Right.
you doing to not add on to the insecurities or
Right.
the disrespect, title or not?
And you have to, as an individual, you always have to, I don't know, I'll be as fully transparent as possible right now. There are so many times where I've had to look in the mirror and say to myself, am I doing things in this relationship that help it, hinder it, or am I just not doing anything at all?
Yeah.
Because it's so many times where I've witnessed it and I've been the person in the relationship to say it's your fault. You're doing this. I'm blaming you for this.
Mm-hmm.
But it's like once you really look at the retrospect and what's going on and what's happening, you have to see like, are they really doing something that hurts you? Are they really doing something to harm you? Or are you just, to be honest, for me, it's like, are you just not necessarily overthinking it, but are you processing it in a level that is inaccurate? Like it's not even in the realm of what's going on.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm saying?
That's that understanding. That's that comprehension. And then the part of what you're saying is, okay, after I sit with myself and say, okay, you know what? Are you really hearing it? Now the next step is go ask them. And then sit
Exactly.
there,
Go talk about it.
go talk about it. And then try to understand it too. You know what I mean? Don't, well, no, you said that, but just listen.
Right.
You know.
Listen to it.
Mm-hmm.
I hear you on that one.
Yeah, that would, and that does, and that's what I'm saying. It helps the fear in relationships when you do these things, when you try to not control your partner, when you let them be themselves, communicate the way they communicate. And because people say communication, but the thing is, we all communicate differently. So just because you're communicating differently than me, that don't mean that what you're saying is not right or
Right.
accurate, or what I want to say is, because we don't understand all the time. It doesn't mean that what you're saying is also not clear. It could just
Right.
be that I don't like what you're saying. So to me, I'm not comprehending it because I don't like that you're not communicating the way I communicate.
Right.
So relationships, everybody want to be in a relationship, but baby, y'all don't be ready for that work. It is work behind them scenes.
Ugh. It's exhausting
Like,
work. It's
and
exhausting work,
you're
but it's
16
so
years in, solid. So I'm gonna go ahead and put
yeah.
his comment on the screen. Hopefully he's still on here. So we got to talking, but so he said, and he's married. James is married as well, and I think he's been married about 10 plus years. Um,
Yes. Mhm.
but he said, "Do you believe
Can
that
you give
men
me
and
two?
women?" Okay, so I'll read it while her baby came
Yes.
in. He's like, "Mama, what is you doing?"
Come here.
So James said, "Do you believe that men and women interpret fear differently in a relationship?" So while she handed her son and comes back in, me purposely or honestly, I do believe we interpret it differently for the simple fact that I do believe men and women communicate differently. I do believe men and women understand things differently. So yes, do I believe they interpret it the fear differently? I do. Do I believe they go through the same type of fears? I believe they go through the same type of fears, but do they interpret them differently? Absolutely. Just in the sense that, let's see. I don't know if you were on when I mentioned the recent incident, the Kiki Palmer and her boyfriend incident. So his fear, and I know it's another background on that, but his fear is another man because people's like, it ain't the dress, it's that it was Usher. Either way, it's still a legit reason to have a fit. Even if he didn't say, because as a man, what man gonna get on live in front of everybody be like, oh, it's him, that man in her face, he gonna take my woman. Ain't no man ever is gonna say that, like ever. So of course he had to point out the dress instead. You're a mom, but the feelings that he had was very valid because my fear is you dress like that and you fine, right? Yes, I posted you in your maternity stuff, your stomach out, all of that. Yeah, I posted that, right? But you're my woman to post. I'm posting, I'm bragging on you and your body. But to see another man brag on your body with his eyes, the way Usher did, yes, that's a fear. And people were bashing him like, "Oh, you insecure, you this, you that." Baby, this woman is literally letting another man eye her down, butt out, in a very sheer dress. He looking at her like, if I can get a taste of that. What man wouldn't feel any type of way with another man doing his woman like that? Title or not, it's his woman. And it's the same with the woman. You won't want your man in nobody's face giggling, arm on the shoulder, arm around the waist, hee hee ha ha. Dang, what's so funny with that conversation? What y'all laughing about? As a woman, that's how you gonna be.
Hmm.
Again, JT just did it with Uzi, right? Whatever his name is. He taking a picture with another female, but they entertainers. But he taking a picture with her up close on her. JT had a fit. But this man going to do the same thing. Y'all like, oh, he insecure. It's that fear. It's that fear of not respecting me as your man, not respecting me as your woman, and allowing somebody else to think they could come in on our situation and tear it apart.
Right.
But I'm gonna let you go ahead and answer him. I was trying to answer it while you was still with your son. But he said, "Do you believe that men and women interpret fear differently in a relationship?"
I'm not, I don't think that we interpret it differently. I think that we address it differently. Whereas it's come to my attention that men don't really have as much support as women do. They don't feel like they're supported in their troubles and their fears and their struggles in life. So whereas, I could come to you if you were my best friend and say, man, you can't believe what James just did to me. I can't believe it. But James might not have anyone to go to and talk to like that. He may just have to deal with it.
Yeah.
So with his fear, he's like, not only do I have to deal with this, I have to go at it alone in some cases. So I just don't think that we have the same way to address fear,
Mm-hmm.
men and women.
Mm-hmm.
And some men may have it, but I know that a lot of men don't.
Yeah, a lot of men don't. It's almost like men are told to just suck it up. And so I was talking to somebody. I said women create the access to sex. Men creates the access. Woo, I can't talk, y'all. The access to relationships. Meaning, until that man decides to be in that relationship or marry you, then you're just there giving sex. He has not made the commitment. So it's not on you to make the commitment. It's on him to make the commitment to say, yes, we are an item. So I fully believe that because, of course, can't, as we know, you can't force a man to be with you if he don't want to be with you, but he'll have sex with you, even if he's not with you.
Right.
So that's why I believe what I believe with men having access to relationships, women having access to sex. But they do not have that same sentiment that women have. Like women can talk to anybody about their relationship, and the woman not be looked at differently. She actually will have more people that empathize with her, empathize
Yeah.
and sympathize with her. When a man does it, they're told, "Oh, suck it up. I just get over it. Happy wife, happy life."
Right.
So it's like they're always pushed underneath the rug to just get over it.
But that's the thing that sucks because it's like in a relationship, and I'm gonna just put this out there, if the woman is not there to support the man, then what are you there for? Are you just sex? It's like you have to understand what he's going through, and you have to be the open door for him to go to when he doesn't understand what's going on for you. But if the way that we respond to fear, the way that I respond to fear, is running away or cowering or closing the door to communication, walking away from it, who is he supposed to talk to?
Mhm.
And then can you really be upset with if his internalization is either frustration or anger or sadness that he won't even express to you because now he's closed the door back to you. So
Mhm.
it's like that fear of abandonment, that fear of communication, that fear of commitment, all of those things come back together when it comes to a relationship because that man has to be able to talk to someone.
Mhm.
And you can't just assume that he has someone to talk to outside of you.
So I'm glad you even touched that because it brought up another fear, which is probably in the umbrella of the ones that I listed, but that fear of confidentiality. So
Oh,
as my woman, I hear women say all the time, men don't talk enough. Why you don't talk? You talk to your homeboy. And look, and this is the one I hate. I hate seeing this because what women don't understand is when you demasculine a man to call him GAY because he's not doing something that you want him to do, that does not make men say, "Ooh, let me be a man because she called me GAY since I don't do what she want me to do." All it does is make men run from your type of woman. So I hear women say all the time, men that talk to they homeboys all the time is GA more than that girl is GAY. Just go be with your homeboy. And I say, you know what? That is the lowest part of the earth that a woman can say to a man. Like I don't respect women who say that because your understanding is purely off. The man talking to his homeboy more than he talked to you shows me that he has tried to confide in you and you have ruined it by disrespect. And I could tell you disrespectful because you just called him GAY because he talked to his homeboy more than he talked to you. So I can only imagine what goes on behind them closed doors when he's trying to communicate with you. So the thing with that is that women tell men to talk, but a man has a fear of it being used against him, not only publicly, because a lot of women do it publicly, but to their face every time they bring an issue up. So the moment I bring an issue up to me, now you want to bring up my weaknesses. Now you want to call me GAY. Now you want to call me I'm acting like a female or bitch. Like you're belittling me to my face, and you think I'm gonna come back and talk to you? No, I have a
no.
fear that you're going to demasculate me again.
It's, man, that touched because it's like
I know. I
you're
see your
buffering
face going like, what in the?
because it's like I can't imagine like there. Yes, I will admit when I was younger, I've never called my husband gay, and I've never demasculated him in a way to say that your feelings are inadequate, that your feelings are lesser than mine. I've never made it to that. Now, granted, I've walked away in my very more than my fair share of arguments and conversations that we've had because I didn't know how to deal with it. But when it comes to his emotions, I know that men don't express emotions a
Oh yeah.
lot.
Oh yeah.
And so when they come to you and they're like, man, I just feel hurt, I feel sad, I feel upset, I feel angry. When they share that vulnerable side, that's something I feel like more women should treasure that versus put it down. Because
Mhm.
for a man to be able to come to you and do that, that means he trusts you wholeheartedly to share those things from inside of him and to pour them out into your cup and say, look, this is how I feel. And if you feel the same way, can we talk about it? Can we discuss it? Do you even understand where I'm coming from? Please tell me that I'm not going insane in my mind because I'm feeling this way and I don't have anybody else to talk to it about. How would
Mhm.
you feel if the roles were reversed? Because we always try to gentrify things. If the roles were reversed, how would a woman feel if somebody said, "Oh, your man just cheated on you"? Girl, get over it. You'll be all right. How
Ooh.
would you feel if somebody was like, "Oh, you feel sad that that he just walked out on you"? You'll be all right. Get over it. Knock that off your shoulder. You'll be all right.
Mhm.
You mad because he just told you to deal with having the kids for all week and you ain't doing nothing to help? Get over it. How would we feel if we didn't have anybody to talk to? See, women, we have a lot of support from women we don't even
We do.
know.
We do.
Because you can walk into a grocery store, somebody see you with your two kids struggling, and they'll be like, "Can I help you?" You do that with a man, they'll be like, "He'll be all right."
Yep.
I just don't feel like it's fair. And for men, and I'm gonna put it out there, especially for African American men, that just gives them one more thing to lock into their mind and never let out. And the more things we
And,
hold on to, the worse we are.
and they do. They do. I was talking to, and see, a lot of men come to me. Before I was even a life coach, a lot of them would talk to me about a lot of things. But
Mm-hmm.
now that I am a life coach, I do have a lot more men booking sessions with me. And um, a lot of them have said, like, women be like, oh, he don't talk to me. I ain't do this to you. I ain't do X, Y, and Z. I get it. You didn't do it, but the plethora of women that he's dealt with has done it. So what they have done, and what we don't realize as women, and to our sons as mothers, to our sons, what you don't realize is that when you create that pile of steadily disregarding him, like it's just building on top of each other, steadily telling him he don't matter. Suck it up, shut up. Why you crying? Be a man, be a boy, grow up. When you steadily piling this on top of a man, a boy, teenager, to a man, imagine the level of walls that he's put up. So now, as that woman, and I told some a few guys I was talking to on platonic level, I was telling them I'll be so frustrated with this dating scene because I run across men, because I know how to ask questions and vet people. I run across so many good men. I swear to God, they are good men. But the walls they have built up from that hurt, I'm not willing to go through the fight with them. And it sucks because you be like, oh, it ain't, it ain't their fault, but at the same time, the level that I had to go through to heal through my own hurt, that I'm still going through with the childhood trauma and my own past relationships, friendships, the level that I had to go through with that, I'm not willing to fight with somebody to break down their walls if they're not willing to do it themselves
There
first.
you go. There you go.
So I'd be like, okay, I know what they did, and that's wrong. It's really wrong. But until you ready to acknowledge it and go through breaking down your own walls, I'm tired, man. I can't do it. You can book a session. I can talk to you as a life coach, but on an intimate level, I'm not willing to take on the hurt that these women done. And grantedly, you're rightfully right in your place of hurt because they did. They played you.
Yeah.
They messed you over. But I'm not willing to go through breaking down their walls. I got to see you, want to do it yourself. But women don't think like that. You don't think that you're creating the men that we say we have now that's emotionalists. We're creating them. Mothers are creating these men.
Yeah.
Other women are creating these men, and then it's like, well, why y'all so, as they like to say, sassy? So now they sassy because they express, but then when they not expressing, you got a problem with that too. Like, they can't win for nothing. It's always a
Well,
lose-lose situation. So they have a fear of committing. They have a fear of the intimacy. They have a fear of you not being a confidentiality partner as you should. They have a lot of fear that women have as well.
it's the people that I've encountered, men and women, who have expressed, I want to be in a relationship. I really want to find that someone. And they'll tell you stuff like, yeah, but they got to have money and they got to have a car. They got to have this, they got to have that. And I'm like, I look at them, men and women. I look at them both and I go, well, what are you bringing to the table? And
Now
two,
you can't tell no woman that.
I
They feel like
have.
they ain't supposed to bring none to no table.
Whatever I have. And it's one of those things where it's like, if you're not bringing nothing, then what are you bringing? And again, my husband said it best. He was like, so I get to go to work, make the money, come home, take care of the kids, help with the house, help with the chores, do all of this. And what's she supposed to do? Just give me some sex at the end of the day? I'm supposed
Come
to be
on,
happy.
come on, come on, come on. No real. Real talk.
And he said that he
Tell
said
hubby I said real talk. That was good. Yeah.
but he's just like, so I'm just supposed to be happy with the leg spread, but nothing else is given to me. And what do I get as a man? And I was like, well, again, that's why we're married.
He tell her he married the right one because what's out here is it's a little strange out here. So
But
he
it's
lucky
just
he locked you down a long time ago.
but it's for me, I'm just like, I heard, and I honestly, I call African American women my cousins, my sisters. Y'all my family. But I hear my family out here and they talking about these men, and I'm just like, but baby, you're not perfect. Please look in the mirror and acknowledge that before you decide to go out there and look for a man that you think is perfect, because those
Ooh.
imperfections have to match up, and even they don't necessarily have to match up. They have to both be acknowledged.
Mhm.
And it has to be acknowledged in the sense of, this is something I need to work on. This is something I need to grow in.
Mhm.
This is a field of my life where I'm not good at. I'm not good at communication. I'm not good at branching out to people. I'm not good at asking for help because I never had the help to ask for. When it comes to a man's side, I don't know how to necessarily love you best because my mama didn't tell me, oh, baby, are you okay? Why are you crying? Is there anything that I can do to help you? Like, those things weren't always acknowledged. And for that, I apologize to all my African American brothers and for that. Like, even women, if you didn't have that, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
And it's one of those things because I grew up with my grandmother, and if you had your grandmother and your mother in your life, you know the difference in the relationship. And even though I didn't have my mom, I know there's a difference in the relationship.
Mhm.
So when someone doesn't acknowledge that you're crying, when someone doesn't acknowledge that they've hurt you, when someone doesn't apologize and say that that was not okay, that helps build up that wall that people have in their hearts and use it against other people to keep
Yeah.
them out.
Yeah.
It's like we are a generation, especially millennials, we are in a generation of, we have time where we can now focus inwardly versus, yes, racism is always going to be there, but it's definitely not as detrimental as it used to be, as it once was. So
Absolutely.
our generation is now taking time to figure out those internal curses that we have built in us.
Mhm.
And while some of us are using it to heal ourselves and heal our kids before it even gets to that point, others are not taking that justful time to grow in their own
Absolutely.
light. You are
Absolutely.
there was a I can't I think it was Confucius. I'm not exactly sure, but it said you cannot tend to the weeds in someone else's garden until you tend to the weeds in your own. And it's like, that's sad because it's like you're not even focusing in on your own problems
Yep.
before you start trying to before you start trying to judge somebody else.
And I said, but I made posts before, and I said it's like we so busy trying to fix other people to make us happy to where we are not working on ourselves. We're not even happy with us. But instead of working on us to be happy, healed, whole, because people again, we in this thing where I don't need healing. I'm good. No, you're not. Because we can tell in your posts, we can tell in the way you respond back to people, we can tell in the type of content that you continue to share. We can tell you're not good. You're not internally happy. But what we'll do, we try to go fix another imperfect person to make them make us happy. All because we don't want to stop and look in the mirror and access and that's a fear. We talking about conquering fear in relationships. You cannot conquer your fears in relationships until you conquer yourself.
Right.
I wholeheartedly believe that until you conquer your emotions, until you conquer your insecurities, your lack of boundaries, your lack of self-respect, until you conquer not being able to sit with yourself and be happy alone, until
Yeah.
you conquer that, you will not conquer your fears in relationships. They're actually going to magnify once you get in a relationship.
Yeah.
So I got two things I want to put on. One of them on the screen. George said a lot of men have support systems, but don't take advantage of them because of ego.
Yeah, that's definitely a thing. And it's more so because they don't, I don't know whether it's I don't know whether it's I'm a man and I can deal with it, which is that thing that we've already talked about, which is not the person themselves. That's what society has put on you, and what
Mm-hmm.
has society has made a a a, um, a shelf to put you on. You're
Yeah.
supposed to deal with this. You're a
Mm-hmm.
man,
Yeah.
but it's just like if you really look inside that man that's dealing with that ego, again,
Mm-hmm.
that's still looking at yourself. Are you okay with being vulnerable? Are you okay with
Yeah.
asking for help? Are you okay with branching and reaching out to someone saying, like, man, I'm not okay with this.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't
Yeah.
feel like I should have to be.
And see, and George may talk to more men than me. I'm not sure, so I'm not gonna say what he's saying is not right. I actually agree that a lot of men be dealing with them egos. However, I have ran across many men that do not have that support system. They don't know where to go, and it could be that because they've been hurt before, they've been stunted on before, they've been manipulated, lied to before. Men build that ego up to where it's like, yeah, I don't know who to trust. So yeah, I'm just do what I know to do. Because we're taught, just do what you know to do. You're a man, figure it out. Like they're taught that. So you got to think ego. I don't think ego is something people just want to have. But I think life has shaped a lot of us to have that ego. I can't put this guard down because when I did before, do you know what happened when I did before?
Mm.
So yeah, I'm yep, nope, I'm good. I don't need to talk to nobody, and they don't realize that it's hurting them in the end. Yeah, your ego is hurting you in the end because you don't want to put that guard down. But at the same time, has society, has our family members, have other men made it okay for you to put that ego down?
So when I think of ego, just inwardly thinking about it right now, ego
Mhm.
to me for a man is like makeup is for a woman. And this may hurt somebody, and I don't know who it's for, but I'm
Say
sorry.
ouch.
So,
Just say ouch. Just say ouch.
and I'll put it like this: when women put on makeup, we cover up our things on our face that we don't necessarily like. The problem with covering it up is if you don't have the right tools and the right things to clean that makeup off, you're just making your skin worse. Your skin cells turn over every 2 weeks. Your ego and your mindset don't necessarily have a place to turn over. And it doesn't have a timeline either. So while we put on our makeup and we cover up the flaws that we don't like about ourselves, a man puts on an ego so that he can cover up those things that he doesn't necessarily feel 100% about inside of himself.
I absolutely love how you just broke that down. Y'all, as we are two women, but we trying to get it, y'all. We trying to understand y'all, man. We trying to speak for y'all. I'm divorced. She's married, 16 years going in. So we trying to get it, y'all. We trying to hear y'all. And if we're saying anything wrong, as men that's on her, help us out, correct us, maybe, tell her, yeah, you right, or nah, it ain't really how it. Just help us out. That's what these conversations are for. But I just put in the definition of ego. I'm gonna read it. While I read it, I'm gonna put George's comment on the screen. It is pretty long. Hopefully, it'll go all on the screen for everybody to see. But if not, I'll read it as soon as I'm done reading the definition of ego. So when you read, put in a Google anything, there's always more than one thing to read from. So I'm gonna just read one. It says, ego is a noun. So it's something like you said, like we put that makeup on, we put that ego on. It's definitely something that can be taken off with
Mm-hmm.
help with healing. But ego, and according to Google, ego is a person's sense of self-esteem or self-importance.
Mm-hmm.
So while we're talking, we're not necessarily saying, "Oh my God, your ego," in a bad way. But according to this definition, it says it's a sense of self esteem or self importance. So when we talk about a man's ego, that just shows you where men are not getting help at. That just shows it says self esteem and self importance. We just named situations where we're showing that men's self esteem is getting targeted on a daily.
Yeah.
Their self importance is being targeted on a daily. We've condensed men down to only being financially valid.
Mm-hmm.
So you got to think the ego. It ain't just because men is just like, oh, I just want to be in my ego. It ain't that. You got to look at how from childhood on up, from the young adult stage, the teenage stage, even the the adult stage in relationships. It's a lot of men I've met, they've been married before. And if you hear the stories, oh my God, I see why a lot of them like, I ain't in my
I ain't
40s,
doing that again.
50s, I ain't doing it again. And I see why. Because men take a hit to their self-esteem and their self-importance.
Yeah.
And that's why the ego is on the rise. So how do we combat that?
To be honest, it's just more so of one. I feel like, um, I feel like I'm not just putting this out there for men. I'm putting this out there for everybody. I feel like
Mhm.
everybody needs a little self exploration. Self exploration means look inwardly and see what happened. Question what happened, and not necessarily. You don't necessarily always have to understand your past,
Yeah.
but at least try to figure out what did you go through that put you in this situation to make you who you are today. And do you feel like the person you are today is who you want that person to be tomorrow? I always say to myself, I'm not in competition with anybody. I'm only competing against the person I was yesterday,
Hmm.
and I want to be better than her than she was yesterday.
Yep.
You know, so it's like when it comes to men, I don't know how they can help themselves,
Hmm.
but for me, as an individual, I've helped myself by looking inwardly and saying, what part of me do I not like? What part of me do I express to other people that don't necessarily bring out the best in them?
Hmm.
It's like because when I walk into a room, the only thing that I want to see are the people around me being blessed, being fulfilled, being happy, feeling having a rich feeling of self worth.
Yep.
Because if you don't have the self worth inwardly, then the only thing that you have to give to me is something that's poor. And I don't want that.
You know what's crazy? Pierre on here, I'm gonna put his comment on next. He just did a TikTok. And it was a really short video. And I can't remember the title, Pierre. Don't get mad at me if I say it wrong, but I think he did like three um I don't know if it was three things or reasons why you people shouldn't be chasing popularity or something like that. And everything you said was in part of what he said in his video. It's our self esteem. We around people that we don't even like, but because we just trying to find something, we just trying to be something to fulfill ourselves. Now we chasing this clout. We chasing this popularity. We around people who don't even we don't even like these people. They
They
don't
don't
even
even like themselves
they don't even like
sometimes.
themselves. They don't bring us peace. They don't give us no
Nothing.
type of help to get to the next. They don't do none of that. But we around these people because what? We chasing the clout. We chasing the popularity.
Wait.
We don't
Let's
know
not forget.
ourselves.
Let's not forget. And I'm gonna put this out there again because I'm just ugh. I have my thing. This is sometimes your family. This is
Oh yeah, a
sometimes
lot.
your friends that you're around. And it's like you hanging around these people, but they do not enrich your life at all. They don't give you
Mhm.
anything. And I'm not just talking about money. I'm not just talking about validation. I'm talking about they don't enrich your livelihood as in they
At
don't
all.
make you a happier human being.
At all. They keep you broke. And I'm gonna say keep you broke because not if they ain't borrowing money from you that they ain't paying back, what they doing? They inviting you every single place to make you spend your money, but they not helping you recoup that money. So they keeping you broke. So what he said was, so his video was called, and it was a dope video, y'all. If y'all don't follow Pierre, go follow him. Especially go share that video because I was like, oh my God, I got to get him on live. We got to talk about this. But his video was called Three Reasons Your Pursuit of Popularity is Lowering Your Vibrations and Making You Depressed.
Mm.
And it was good. Y'all got to go listen to it. It was definitely good. Pierre, you know I know you a businessman. You do your realty. I know. Hey, I know that. But when you talk this talk like this right here, I'll be glad when whoever got under your skin because it's the realness that. Not saying your other stuff ain't real, but I see you poised. But when you do these videos like this, I feel like as a man, as a leader, because I believe in the deity. God created the man to be able to have the home and the family, right? Not saying women are less than, not saying we are less than important, but I do believe you're that. If we say the men are the providers, leaders, protectors, that means you have a lot of importance as a man. So when a man like that do videos like that, I feel like you are speaking exactly as a leader should speak. And then a protector in itself, because you're showing us how, okay, we got to come up out of this. And it's a man saying it, a man who know how to keep his emotions balanced. So I salute you for that video. But before I get off, he did ask a question, so I want you to go ahead and tackle his question as well. So he said, do men with low self-esteem tend to have larger egos as as a defense mechanism?
I feel like they do. And it's because again, they just don't want to show that vulnerability that they have. And it's protecting something that, again, that they don't want to share, that they're afraid it's going to be attacked yet again. The one thing that sucks about being in a relationship sometimes, especially when you feel like your conversations are getting nowhere, is that you're attacking. One is attacking the other person. So when it comes to egos, that ego is built up as a wall, almost as a shield, I feel like, to if nothing else, this is my default mechanism that I can use in no matter what situation I'm in, no matter what conversation me and my wife, girlfriend, blah blah blah, blah get into. I can fall back on this ego and be like, no, this is who I am.
Mhm.
But the ego is a problem because the ego is meant as, again, as a part of self-esteem and self-importance. But if you only use it as a shield, you're not using it for what it's actually there for, which is to tell me who you are, how you
Yeah.
feel, what you think, what is your point of view on this particular issue that we're currently having. The
Mhm.
ego does not have a real, I feel like the ego doesn't have a place in a relationship, only in a sense that it doesn't allow the person that has the strong ego to be vulnerable, as vulnerable as you need to be to have a wholehearted and progressive conversation to move on
Yeah.
to a good thing.
And I like, I absolutely, y'all, she be breaking this down. If y'all didn't watch our last live, it was, I posted little small clips from my last live, but she don't hold no punches. And I respect women who know how to see both sides of the story. And I love getting women on my platform who are married, especially those who are married a long time. Not only married, but people who are actually in a relationship, especially long term, because I'm divorced, currently single. I love getting them on these platforms and actually advocating for men, because when I do it, y'all already know what I be called when I do it. I'm a pick me, right? But I love when women who are already picked are also doing it, because as women, one thing we don't realize, we say we want our men to protect us, right? But as women, we're not excluded from protecting our men. Now,
Right.
you may not be able to protect him physically, with some of y'all some thugs, you probably can't physically protect your man, but we may not be weren't originally designed to protect him physically, but mentally and emotionally, we're the ones that should be protecting him. We should not be that ego right there. We should be the ones breaking down that wall, that ego wall. But I love how he said it. But men ain't the only ones with egos.
No,
They're not the
they're
only
not.
ones with egos. And he just made a comment that I was in my head. I was going to say that. I was waiting for you to finish, but he made a comment and got to it before I can get to it. Women egos come in the form of this. So as you were talking, he said, or a distraction. Then he says some people create conflicts to distract others from their true insecurities. So I see egos being women and men, insecurities being in women and men.
Yeah.
But however, when it comes to the ego with the woman, I've seen a lot of women do the distraction thing. They blast other women, they blast a man, or they blast, it ain't even a man. It could be somebody they just humping on, and they out here blasting them because they see something else going on, or they mad because the person doing something else, so they out here blasting them. But people, women in general, they continue to blast people publicly and often because they're trying to cover their own insecurities. So if I can get you to focus on them and not me, I ain't got to talk about my insecurities. If I could tell you how, again, and I don't like when people do this, when you blast your partner, especially if you ain't going nowhere. If you blast your partner once they cheated on you, I don't respect it, especially if you ain't going nowhere, because you're blasting the cheating, right? You blasting the woman they cheated with because y'all want to go on their pages and search and see how they look and call them ugly. And you know how women do. Vice versa, men to do it too. But you want to do all that, right? Distract people from you and your insecurities and focus on the person that cheated and the people they cheated with. You're doing that because you don't want to get to the root of it and show that, well, the whole time you're disrespecting your man. You're disrespecting your woman. They trying to talk to you, you showing them they ain't nothing, you putting the kids before them. You have over years have demasculated the men. You've told her she ain't got no voice. You put your family in your business, you put your friends in your business. Your family talk to your partner any kind of way. Your friends talk to your partner. Like, you ain't told none of this. You trying to distract all of that stuff by putting out other people's business. So your wrongs don't have to be out on the platform. So egos is big in women just as well as it's big in the men.
You know, all I can
Your
say for
your
that,
face be like, this whole live, your face been like it's like
because
is that's really going on? What the
you don't understand how much I take myself out of the world of certain things, because I know that the world that you surround yourself with is who you become. And
absolutely.
so I, over the years, over the past 15 years since I've left East St. Louis, I have tried my best to take myself out of those realms of toxic environments,
Mhm.
because I love my husband. And there is
Yeah,
nothing that I would purposefully do, and there is nothing that I would intentionally do, knowing that it can hurt me, put in our world to hurt him. And now I have two children that I also have to protect from that world. And it's like,
absolutely.
okay, the more that y'all do the things y'all do, the more that I have to sit here and explain to them this is a possibility that this can happen. But
Absolutely.
just know that when it happens, you need to look inside yourself and see who you really are.
Mhm.
How do you want to respond to this stimulus? How do you want to react to this individual who's doing this to you? As I'll put it like this, I have two young African American boys, and I refuse to let them come into a world to where they can be harmed by somebody thinking that they're doing something intentionally against them maliciously and not.
He like, Mom, you been gone too long. Come on now. We're about
And
to end
it's,
it. We're about to end it in a
I can't I can't wholeheartedly bring them up in a world where I know these things exist and not be um, present enough to acknowledge it and be able to address it.
absolutely.
So when you're saying some of the things you say, like for instance, everything you just said to me is this individual who's blasting someone for as a distraction, that's judgment on somebody else so that you don't have to face your own judgment of yourself.
Always.
And it's
Always.
and it's like
But it
it's
doesn't help. Like, what bothers me with people is that they don't realize it does not help. It does not yield you the results you say you want. It makes the people that you do it to, it makes them resent you. It makes them create hate towards you, even if they still with you or around you. It builds up resentment, it builds up hate, it builds up more insecurities, it builds up trust issues. Like, you're not yielding the healthy results of that relationship or friendship that you say you want.
it's just putting more negativity into the world. That's pretty
Yeah,
much all it is. You're putting more toxic things into the environment that you are surrounding yourself with, because not only are you not only are you now giving it to the person you're trying to be mad at, you're also spreading it to everyone
absolutely.
who reads what you're writing. And now they're
Absolutely.
angry. They're either angry at you, they're angry at them, they're angry at somebody, or they're angry at an incident that they tried to put past them a long time ago. Now that's bringing up negativity in their life that they tried to forget about.
Absolutely.
And that can lead to like that in itself leads me to, like, especially when it happens to family and I see it, that leads me to estrangement. And estrangement is I just don't even want to be around you, no matter whether you're blood or friend or whatever.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And with all due respect, because at the end of the day, we always yelling YOLO, YOLO. Yeah, you absolutely right. So I don't have to put up with BS. I don't care what your title is. I don't have to put up with people who continuously hurt me. I don't
Exactly.
have to put up with people, and this is for men and women. So men, hear me out. Because my issue with men, and I, again, I'm not a man, so I can't say I can understand the battles y'all go through. But my issue with men will be that you guys continue to put up with things that you should not put up with over and over again from
And it
woman
says that
to
it's
woman.
okay. It says
Yeah,
that
like,
I'm perfectly okay with dealing with this.
yeah, and you're
If
and you're not okay. Like, you're not okay because once you leave that situation, you're bleeding onto other women who don't deserve it. So that's my only issue with men, and I really hope my men start to work on this. Put your foot down. If you see something that is toxic, do not put another person before yourself. That's man or woman. But to my men, stop putting women's emotions before yourself, because you're internalizing that. Even if you're saying, oh, I'm good, you're not good, because you're bleeding on the next woman who's really trying to love you. You're bleeding on the next woman who's doing the work that women like me is doing, or women like her have done. She off the market though, y'all. But y'all
yes,
are bleeding on us type of women, and it's like a toxic cycle going on. Stop putting up with the
yeah,
BS from women who continue to blast y'all, women who continue to cheat on y'all, women who continue to show you that you are, yeah, I want you to be a leader, but you got to be a leader under my control as a woman. Like, put y'all foot down as a man. You already getting the backlash. So what is it going to hurt to go ahead and put your foot down? Whether you do or whether you don't, you're going to get the backlash. So stand up for yourself, YOLO. Be the healed man that you need to be so you can attract the healthy family and woman that you need to attract. Like, put your foot down. But look, your kids is waiting on you. So, and I try to do 45 minutes. We over an hour. So I'm gonna go ahead. Do you want to say anything else before I go ahead
I have
and
one more
okay.
thing to say.
Okay.
And it's in addition to what you just said.
Okay.
Every person in this planet is codependent on the person next to them. If we were not codependent individuals, then God would have made us just to where we could be on this planet one at a time,
Oh.
single, and no one else. But He did not make it that way. He made it to where we are put on this planet with billions of other individuals. We work together, we live together, and even though you don't want to talk to somebody, their actions still trickle down to what you're doing today.
Mhm.
So
Yep.
look inside of yourselves, men and women. Look inside yourselves to see who you actually want to attract. And when I say that, I'm talking about down from how tall they are, their skin color, to what do they like to eat in the morning? Do they like scrambled eggs? Or do they like something so disgusting that I couldn't even look at it even if I tried? But it's like, look at who you are as an individual and try to figure that out first before you try to attract, before you try to discourage, before you try to judge, before you try to reflect any of the negative sides of
Mhm.
yourself onto someone else.
Yeah.
And I'm
Yeah.
not saying that all negativity is a bad thing, but at least try to understand it so that when it comes out, you can express it, acknowledge it, and communicate it
Mhm.
and explain it if you need to.
Yeah. And then I'm gonna add to what you said, not accept something that you really don't want to accept. And when I say that is, I notice a lot of people, I've done content said, I hate the dating stage. I swear to God, I hate the current dating stage because everybody brings their representative. My thing is, when you learn yourself, when you really are confident in yourself, you don't have to change doing what you do just to get somebody, only to find out that these people weren't even the people that they gave you in the beginning. Like, you change yourself to get somebody who wasn't even they self when they met you. So it's like, know what you're willing to accept, do, put up with, not put up with. For instance, in relationships, you're going to have to compromise. You're going
Yes.
to have to compromise. So are you ready to put your feelings to the side? Are you ready to be getting up early in the morning doing breakfast? Are you ready to come home now? I'm tired, but hey, this man needs to eat. I want to take care of my man. Or, woman, if the man is the one that cook. Like, are you ready for these things? I want to lay in bed. I don't want to have to commit to having to go pick somebody up if their car break down or any, like, are you ready for these type of commitments? Be honest with yourself. Don't start doing these things so you can look a certain way to certain people. And then once you got them, now you like, oh my God, they get on my nerves. You so needy. Well, they was needy in the beginning. And you was fulfilling the need then. What's the problem now? So do not do things that you literally do not want to do, all because you're trying to win the person. Because what you do in the beginning, you're gonna have to continue it, or all hell is gonna break loose. There's no way around it.
Yep.
But I'm gonna go ahead, last one. So as you end, and thank you guys for tuning in, for comment. Thank you guys. If anyone shared the live, I don't know, I can't see. Thank you guys for doing that. Thank you for the reactions. Anybody want to be a podcast guest, you can always go to my website. I know people like, oh, I don't see it. Listen, these content creators, these bigger people, Walmart, all them people, they is not talking to you individually. Go to the website. Go look for what you want to look for. It's all there. I've been talking to y'all individually now, but I don't always have the time to just individually give everybody their my attention. Go to my website. It's in my bio, my business page and personal page. If you want to be a podcast guest, you can go on there and schedule it. You want a life coaching sessions? I do monthly Q&As. I do weekly questions. If you want me to talk on something that you want to be anonymous, I do it all. Go book it. Take advantage of my services so we can heal, we can conquer these fears in relationships, and we can conquer relationships, right? Platonic and intimate. So as we end with your last words of wisdom, can you, in that wisdom, can you kind of explain how to begin to conquer the fear in relationships?
The beginning step is accepting that you are an individual. You're going to feel the way that you're going to feel. And it's okay that you want to be okay with that in your relationship. I feel like that's the first thing, is accepting how you feel and being able to express it to your partner, and knowing that no matter what they say or how they respond, it needs to be said.
Yeah.
That's
Yep.
just it. It's going to
Yep.
be uncomfortable. Sometimes it's going to be scary, but it still needs to be said.
Mm-hmm.
And nothing, unless you're in a relationship where you actually have that detrimental fear of something happening to you. If it's just a angst that something horrible is going to happen, just face it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. To add to what you said, and then we're gonna close out because we did a podcast a year ago, and you spoke in that one, and you said we're not walking on eggshells. You should not be with somebody that you have to walk on eggshells with, and that's not just a relationship. Friendships, family ships, whatever. Should not be walking on eggshells. Accept the
Exactly.
situation for what it is, and work on yourself. Let's start conquering these fears in our relationships. I will see you guys. Thank you again, Milan. As you know, anytime you want to be on here, you already know I accept guests all the time. Come on, book me again. You like, it's been a year? Yes, it's been a year. But you came back with some heat again. So whenever you guys ever want to book on live, I don't like going on live. I was telling her earlier. I think I said it before. I don't like personally going live by myself because I have an anxiety that I'm looking at a screen. I see people head popping in and out. Nobody says nothing. Like it really bothers me. So I hate going live by myself. Although y'all know I could talk my talk. I got a lot of talk to talk. So I kind of break them up in my videos that I post. But anytime y'all want to go live with me, y'all, I'm ready. Just hit me up. Go to my website. Hit me up, book it or whatever, and we can go live and talk about these conversations, y'all, because it needs to be talked about, especially in our Black community. We gotta talk because we going downhill, and I hate to see it. So let's talk. But enjoy y'all Saturday. I actually got something to do at 1:30. I gotta send this other person the link. So I enjoy being on here on live. I enjoy you every time you come on. Thank you for being on. I will talk to you later. And about that idea we talked about before here, I'm gonna get back with you on that. So Enjoy the rest of y'all Saturday because I'm about to enjoy mine.
All right. Thank you for having